He takes 2 equal packets, puts that into his coffee. Point being that, when you're used to habitually doing something, you do it anyway. And in this case, he's probably eating or drinking way too much more sugar because it's equal. He thinks it's good. But, we have to be moderating ourselves no matter what.
That is very true. But since 1978, some of the people have been pushing for the regulations, and it's always been voluntary, voluntary, voluntary. Well, they can do it voluntary, but they can change their mind the next day. So the government has finally realized that this is going to save a lot of lives and a lot of dollars if you can reduce your salt content.
I think, again, it's the healthcare movement, if you will. I think there's 2 simultaneous movements going on in this country. One is around all the green momentum we've seen. Green energy, Earth Day just passed. So the awareness within people to be more conscious is growing. And I think on the healthcare front, it's the same way. You're seeing not just in legislation and in politics healthcare play out, but you're seeing it in the fast food industry. And now finally we're seeing it on a personal level in our grocery stores and in our day-to-day shopping.
So you would say the President Obama did this?
No, I'm saying...
Another victory for President Obama. Is that it?
Well, you know what? Maybe. In some small way, I would like to think that people in general are becoming more conscious of their health habits, and he was just playing on that sentiment to pass his reforms. How about that?
President wants to be in your day every week.
Well, sticking to our favorite topic, of course, politics. Many of you, I'm sure, heard the news that Justice Paul Stevens will be stepping down from the Supreme Court.
Yes.
He decided to retire after 35 years of being on the Supreme Court. In fact, only 3 other justices in history have ever served longer than Paul Stevens. So he is really an institution in the Supreme Court. And as you might imagine, people are already talking about what the replacement will look like. President Obama has an opportunity to shape the court here for many years to come. In fact, of all the legislations or of all the actions that a president can do that have the longest effect, lasting effects, replacing or positioning a Supreme Court justice is one of them. President Obama being Democratic, the chances are likely that he's going to appoint someone who has more liberal leanings than conservative leanings. But the question is also, will he appoint a woman? And,
he should.
Will that change the makeup of the court? Right? Yeah. And I think there's some good, strong argument for that. But I also heard some commentary on the radio, actually. When you think of these Supreme Court justices, you're thinking about a bunch of old men or women that have, been through life. They're wise old souls, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the court, it's been getting a little bit younger with each new appointment.
Yeah.
John Roberts, for example, is a fairly young justice. Yeah. And the reason presidents do that is because they can get someone in there for a much longer period of time.
That's right.
Right? Get someone in there who's in their 40s or 50s as opposed to someone who's in their 60s, and you can leave 40 years of impression behind. So does the Supreme Court lose something in having younger and younger justices? Do you lose the wisdom of these sort of old spirits and wise spirits that have been seasoned enough to make these calls? It was a good, brilliant point I thought the commentator made, and I wanted to highlight it because this has sweeping ramifications to us all in our lifetimes here.
So you're saying that he's going to appoint a younger judge?
I think he has to. As a president, to ensure his legacy and to maximize the opportunity, he's going to appoint someone young. But there is some penalty for that, in that you are losing the seasoned experience that comes with age.
I'm sure he's going to make a winning appointment, and that probably will be next week.
Well, we'll find out.
Every week he has to do something good, Well, folks, Goldman Sachs, on the other hand, has not had a winning week for many weeks now. First, the news came up that the director, Rajat Gupta of Goldman Sachs, has been named in a letter from prosecutor who said, "We fully anticipate the government's ongoing investigation and review of information will lead to further evidence relating to the charged crimes, including identification of additional uncharged co-conspirators." I guess they had tapped the line of Rajaratnam, and Rajaratnam and Rajat Gupta were friends. They actually were in business together on another fund, 1.4 billion Silk Road Fund. When this first started, all of us thought, $20 million, what are you doing? But now 2 McKinsey employees have been implicated in this now. But of course, Rajaratnam says that he's innocent. The analogy that was given was that the Goldman Sachs knew that the vehicle that they were selling was going to crash. I mean, how do you sell it and you say, well, I was selling to a dealer who should have known what the cars can do?
It's like displacing blame, right?
Yeah.
And responsibility and accountability. When you get up into those levels, I guess it becomes play money to people after a while because you can't relate to it. You know, I work sometimes in the financial industry, and the volumes that they deal with are mind-boggling, billions of dollars and trillions of dollars. And after a while, it all becomes so meaningless. I guess they forgot they were playing with people's lives in the process.
Yes, they did, and of course taxpayers had to come and bail them out. But this particular case is going to be going down the history. I mean, I'm sure Goldman Sachs with the battery of lawyers, they're going to